Howdy folks, and welcome back to your home port. I'm Hughbert Jass, and today I'm going to give you a quick overview of my impressions of the new French cruisers, so grab your baguettes, grab your champagne, and settle in. All jokes aside, starting at Tier 3, things start to take off. At Tier 5, things begin to standardize, with each tier being an overall incremental improvement over the previous tier. To me, it often felt like I was playing the same ship all the way through, with few significant differences tier to tier, aside from the torpedoes being standardized at Tier 5 and the upgunning of the line at Tier 8. Really, just enough upgrades to make the ships competitive. I would like to thank Wargaming for providing these ships for the purpose of review. Thanks guys, couldn't have done it without you. I will also apologize in advance to the French when I inevitably mispronounce the names of your nation's fine ships. Tier 3 is where things start to get serious, although I must say that at Tier 2, Julien de la Gravière was fun to play, even though it seemed like an average of almost every other Tier 2 I have ever played. Average speed, no torpedoes, but a good rate of fire to keep your enemies on their toes. Tier 1, I played one battle and moved on quickly. Remember the last time you played a Tier 1? Yep, it felt just like that. So, yes, back to the Tier 3. Friant is a good ship with okay torpedoes, okay guns, and a great top speed of 30 knots, and feels like the first real ship in the line, the first that looks and feels like a post-World I era ship. Tier 4, Truon, I also consider a good ship, with similar attributes as its predecessor, such as good speed maneuverability, adequate torpedoes, and guns with a decent range and a good rate of fire. Tier 5, Emile Bertin, is where things start to feel like the start of a family line of ships, almost a reset from what has come before. Torpedoes are standardized with 9-kilometer range and 60-knot speeds, and these torps hit harder than German or American torpedoes, but not as hard as Japanese or the Brits. Surprisingly, the guns have ever so slight less range than the Tier 4, but they are also slightly smaller. The guns are adequate. I didn't feel like I had an advantage over others, nor did I feel like I was at a disadvantage either. Top speed is also very good at 35 knots. Tier 6, La Galissonière, brings a shorter gun range than the Tier 5 as well, which is a strange trend given that they are the same guns as a Tier 5. They do, however, have a 2-second faster reload, so the shorter range is no doubt a factor of game balance. Top speed is 4 knots slower than the Tier 5, and you can feel it. Rudder shift time is also 0.3 of a second slower. AA defenses are mediocre at best, but you can use the defensive fire consumable to prop them up in dicey situations. Tier 7, Algerie, has some improvements. Torpedo protection is at 18%, not too bad, and the AA is now creeping towards acceptable. Algerie has a good turning circle and a reasonable rudder shift speed of 7.6 seconds. Gun range is way up at 17.9 kilometers, which is a very welcome improvement, and as well, from what I could tell, Algerie is also a decent credit earner. And now, we move on to Tier 8, Charles Martel. Now we're getting up with the big boys and girls. Charles Martel is blessed with the same great torpedo protection of 18% that Algerie was, and has been upgunned to 203mm cannons for good measure. Top speed of 37.4 knots can be achieved when using the engine boost consumable, which is really quite quick for a Tier 8 cruiser. Although the turning circle has increased slightly over Algerie, and rudder shift goes up to 9.8 seconds. Once again, this ship packs the same torpedoes as they have since Tier 5, and her AA rating is not too bad at all. Tier 9, Saint Louis, is where we see some changes again. This is the first French cruiser with the repair party consumable, and an increase in torpedo protection, bringing it up to 21%. Saint Louis is still packing the same torpedoes we first saw in Tier 5, and the same guns as Charles Martel, albeit with a small differences like a shorter reload, longer 180-degree rotation time, and they are slightly less accurate. All other specs are, once again, only an incremental change from the previous tier, be it good or bad. Tier 10, the Henri IV, and the end of the line. Henri has been upgunned from the Tier 9 to 240mm, having an AP shell that will do a maximum damage of 6,200 hit points, and a nice 19.1 kilometer range. A 17-second reload as well makes these guns not too awful bad. 180-degree rotation time will take just 29 seconds, and these guns are more accurate than Saint Louis' guns. Again, same torps as we saw back in Tier 5. Although this isn't because they are horrible torpedoes, it's because they are actually fairly good torpedoes. Henri has a very good AA rating, but surprisingly it's not quite as good as Saint Louis at Tier 9. Henri is also a fairly speedy ship, which should be useful to you. So, those are some general facts and impressions on all the ships in the new French cruiser line. While I was playing them, I felt like I was playing the same ship in each successive tier with only minor incremental differences between each ship. Indeed, I was not forced to change my playstyle all the way through, especially from tier 5 onwards, which incidentally is to play them very similarly to the Hughbert or Prinz Eugen when it comes to gunfire engagements. The longer range torpedoes is a nice difference though over the Hughbert class and gives you alternate gameplay options. In the future, there will be videos on the ships individually so that a more detailed look can be taken. Stay tuned, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. If you really enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments. As well, be sure to visit my social media pages, both on Facebook and Twitter. This is where I post info that, well, not belonging in a video, it's worth taking a look at. Links to all things in the video description. Alright folks, thanks very much for stopping by and watching. I'll catch you next time.